Welcome again to this session of 50 years of emergency in depth and in person. We have with us Mr. Ashok Panda, who is a senior lawyer with Supreme Court and a human rights activist. He also worked with Mr. Tarkunde, V.M. Tarkunde, eminent jurist. And they say that the entire civil rights movements in India post-independence developed almost along the side of emergency days. Just before that, 74, as Mr. Panda will explain to us. Also, the new tradition, new aspect of PILs, public interest litigation, also emerged soon after emergency. And though many say that Justice Krishna could have, prevented emergency or, changed the course of the events, but the way the civil rights movements emerged after emergency is a case study in itself. And Mr. Ashok Panda was part of that. He was part of PUCL and many of the fights which followed. Sir, you were a student those days in Delhi University. And how did this whole thing emerge? The civil rights consciousness, because earlier it was only, this kind of activism was during the freedom struggle. And many call it a second freedom struggle because of the way the government went around, the way activists went around it.
Good evening. I would like to take you back in memory to the year, to the decade of 70s. Right from 73 onwards, the country was in turmoil. And I was in Delhi University that time as a law student, as an activist. So somehow I could see things developing in a way, when we talk of emergency, I'll tell you about how the situation was developing throughout the country. Like Jayaprakash Narayan that time, he came out with the slogan of total revolution. And with his slogan, he was moving around the country. And in Delhi University also, we were witness to his speeches, where he was saying revolution is not made by the leaders, but revolution is always made by the masses. History is made by the masses. That is how things were going on. And all of us were young students. There were so many friends that time in the Socialist Party also. SYS was there, Samajwadi Yuv Jan Sabha. Then SFI was there. And we had a number of students around this. So all of us were also coming forward. And the first test of pre-emergency repression I was witness to. That was in 1974 when the Lokoman strike began. We, a few, less than 100 activists were moving around Kishan Nagar, railway colony. And there actually we found how the police surrounded us and they started misbehaving, they started beating and all those things. And some of us were also arrested and they were put under DIR. So that was the first test of pre-emergency situation. Then in 1975, when emergency was proclaimed, it was actually the beginning was with the judgment of the Allahabad High Court. And when Mrs. Gandhi was unseated and all those things happened, and then we are all witness to the students' movement during emergency. In front of us, students used to be arrested. There will be sloganing. There will be slogans against emergency and in favor of total revolution. So that is how it was going on. And Jayaprakash Narayan, before emergency, he first founded the Citizens for Democracy, where it was thought, where Mr. Tarkunde was also associated with him. And Jayaprakash Narayan and all those people that time thought that only non-party people should be admitted to the Citizens for Democracy. Then when emergency was declared, then again there was a thinking that the people who were associated with parties, they should be also made part of the movement. And that is how People's Union for Civil Liberties was formed.
One question.
And that time the name was...
One intervention.
Right.
So do you mean to say that Citizens for Democracy was the first civil rights organization, after long years?
No, the scope was different. In the sense, it was not confined to civil liberties. It was on a more broad-based thing. But the association was of only non-party people. Party people were not admitted to CFD, Citizens for Democracy. Therefore, with the request of different party leaders, leaders like the civil liberties leaders like Mr. Tarkunde, all these people, they thought that we should have an organization where party people, they should be coming. And that is how a lot of people from Socialist Party, Surendra Mohanji was there. Then we had so many other people. They were there in the initial POCL. Mr. Krishnakant was General Secretary. Jayaprakash ji was President, and Mr. Tarkunde was the acting President. And the first meeting was held in Constitution Club in the year 1975-76. That time it happened. And then all of us used to meet, and gradually what happened during that time, Baroda dynamite case also occurred, wherein George Fernandez was the prime accused, and along with him, Mr. C.G.K. Reddy, Mr. Biren J. Shah, Mr. Patwari, Prabhudas Patwari, so many people who were associated with the socialist movement and Sarvodaya movement. They, because Prabhudas Patwari was a Gandhian. So they were all being tried, and a committee was formed under the chairmanship of Mr. Tarkunde. That was called Baroda Dynamite Defense Committee. And quite a huge number of senior lawyers were associated with them. That was Mr. Kamalal Sharma was there, Mr. K.K. Luthra was there, father of our Siddharth Luthra. And then our Mr. O.P. Malviya was an old socialist lawyer, so he was there. Then Sushma Swaraj and Swaraj Kaushal, both my dear friends, they moved from Chandigarh to Delhi only to conduct this case. So all of us, we were, and I was the youngest advocate in the team itself. So all of us, we started our work, and there used to be a number of cases where there will be preventive detention cases. So that is how we continued our work. Then when Chandrasekharji was released from jail, that was in the early part of 77, we happened to meet him also. So Chandrasekharji said, now that I have been released, it means there will be election and all those things. I mean, that was the kind of ideas they were having. So election took place, and as a very dramatic turn, Indira Gandhi lost his election, Sanjay Gandhi lost, and Janata Party was formed. And with the formation of Janata Party, a wave of freedom that began in the country, and PUCL NDR, that used to be called People's Union for Civil Liberties and Democratic Rights, that became active. And in Delhi, we had chairmanship of Mr. Govinda Mukhoti, who was chairman of our Delhi body, and we had huge number of activists. Sumanto Banerjee was there, C.V. Subbarao was there, Sudesh Baid, Arvind Ghosh, our Gautam Navlakha, and Mukundan Menon, and huge number of people. We used to come, and then our main emphasis that time was release of political prisoners. And then we did mass movement for the release of people like, say, Nagbhushan, Mr. Nagbhushan Patnaik, who was a Naxalite leader, you know. He was sentenced to death. Later on, his death sentence was commuted to life. And finally, we got him released by filing a writ petition in Supreme Court. And in many cases, there used to be, like George Fernandez also used to be party in person, and we used to represent George Fernandez also in some of the cases where we obtained security of life. For example,
my question is, how
yes.
did the emergency push all of you to start this PUCL and look at this portion of the society seriously? That
Yes,
you need
yes.
to defend civil
First of
rights,
all,
you need to defend political activists, you need to defend the liberties of people. So did
yes.
it come with that strong feeling come with emergency or not?
With the repression in during emergency, like all of us were activists. First of all, there was no fear. Now that you find fear among a lot of people saying something will happen and all those things. So somehow all of us, we moved forward and came to the streets. That happened. And there was no fear that will be arrested or something will happen. So that search for freedom was there. And after the emergency, it grew manifold. Like all the, among the young people, among the working class. So people came forward. That is how the experience of emergency, repression of emergency, so that brought us, 1 minute. So that experience brought us for a new kind of situation actually.
So one can safely say that it was emergency, the experience of emergency, which pushed all of you to form PUCL and PUDR and take this movement forward.
Yes, PUCL. Then subsequently, what happened? There was some difference of opinion, and that resulted in some of the activists going for PUDR. And PUCL was formed as an, again, membership body in the year 1979-80 with Mr. Tarkunde as the president, and PUDR was led by Mr. Mukherjee. So that is how, and that time, from 1979-80 onwards, we had people like Rajni Kothari, Professor Rajni Kothari. Then from Andhra, we had our friend, dear friend, Mr. K.G. Kannaviran. He also contributed a lot in this sense. First of all, he was part of the Andhra Pradesh Civil Liberties Committee, which also looked into several issues, and the fake encounters in Andhra Pradesh from between 71 and 77. That was also inquired into by the committee led by Mr. Tarkunde, and that created a lot of impact in the society. Then following that, here for Punjab also, in Punjab also, almost 82 fake encounters took place between that period, during that period. That was 1971 to 77. And we had this committee led by, again, Mr. Tarkunde. Mr. Kuldeep Nair was there, Mr. Arun Sauri was there, Mr. Dara Singh, and I acted as the youngest person in the committee that time. So we had this. And then after emergency, we used to take investigation teams to different areas where there used to be violation of civil liberties. For example, we had to go to Andhra Pradesh. In Karimnagar district, there is Sirsila and Jagtial taluks. So there was a lot of violation. Poor people who were repressed. So, and that was done under the Andhra Pradesh Disturbed Areas Act. And in this Andhra Pradesh Disturbed Areas Act, the police was free to take any action without any limit. So, on behalf of PUCL, we had challenged it in the Supreme Court, and the judgment also was in our favor. That is how it came. Then in Bihar also, in Baharagoda, in Singhbhum district, we came out with a report called Repression in Singhbhum. And that is how, whenever there used to be violation, then teams used to be formed. And the best part was, the press was with us. The press, Indian Express, Statesman, Mr. A.G. Noorani was there, Mr. Kuldeep Nair, Mr. Arun Sori, all these people were there, and they gave a great support to the human rights movement. So it was the convergence of civil liberties movement and the doyens of the press also. They brought in a kind of new change, and then this exposure by the press also led to formation of or the birth of public interest litigation in our country. Like Bhagalpur.
Before we go to public PILs, public
Yes.
interest litigations, there was also a lot of issues about the way court handled, the emergency issues. Like, some of the judges were victimized. Like I was told, that JNU students were arrested, and when
Yes.
the registrar and others went and said that, look, there was no public meeting, no call for armed, any revolution here, and they were all released. But the
Yes.
judge was transferred to Guwahati, I was told. But
Yes,
at the same time,
I remember that this thing. See, first of all, during emergency, members of higher judiciary were punished. For example, the preventive detention of Mr. Kuldeep Nair was challenged in the Delhi High Court. So and his writ petition was being heard. Again, Mr. Tarkunde, Mr. Sorabji, all these people were appearing for Mr. Kuldeep Nair, and Kuldeep Nair was released. But Justice Rangarajan and Justice R.N. Agarwal, the bench was of the Delhi High Court was there. They insisted on giving a judgment and striking down the preventive detention of Mr. Kuldeep Nair. So result was Justice Rangarajan was as a punishment transferred to Guwahati. Justice R.N. Agarwal, who subsequently became Chief Justice of Delhi High Court, he was sent back to the Sessions Judge, as Sessions Judge, from Delhi High Court Judge to Sessions Court. And then I'm also witness to that scene where that was immediately after emergency was it was revoked. So hundreds of advocates, they came in procession and lifted Justice R.N. Agarwal, and that was how the euphoria was there. So during that phase, because judiciary was also put on shackles, and the moment emergency was lifted, they also became espousing human liberties. Like habeas corpus case, you have heard of course, you have seen. Habeas corpus judgment, that was the darkest hour for Supreme Court, because Supreme Court upheld the power of the executive, even to the extent of killing someone. So Article 21 was suspended, and Supreme Court upheld that. And when Attorney General Nirende was asked by the court, saying, Mr. Attorney General, are you saying that if a person is wrongly shot dead, there is no remedy? So the Attorney General said, yes, my lord.